here, I believe. When I saw this move starting to hold, I went long. I think it was at 49, like 50. So it was a few seconds off of 50. So I was right here. This candle right here. 50. When I saw this starting to hold this move, and even just this ladder right here, it's kind of obvious it's going to break the trend. So that was my long right here, because I was pretty stout on keeping a short on this. But when I see this range holding and developing like this, even, you know, find the break of the move. Where's the there's not even really a break of a move. You can say it's here. You know, you'd have to get underneath that to break the move. I don't even think there's a break in this move. No, there's not. This is like the only one. Like it's just developing ladders up with no ranges above it. Like the polarized moment in this trade was back here, way the hell back here at 96.85. Like take all this crap away. The polarized moment's back here. This is the short. When this short fails, it's a long. And that's simply first seen like this. And then you could have arrayed it to here. But again, at that point, you're just fighting for exit.
Yeah.
So you didn't wait until the 96.85 level is like confirmed breaking?
No, I saw it. You can tell. You can tell it's not holding its. You can tell it's holding its range and about to break. You can tell when something's developing a range. Like even if you were to go to like a 5-minute chart and you know, use like whatever levels are in here, you can see it's holding a range. The dead giveaway is this. The dead giveaway is that this isn't laddering the move anymore. Like forget all this other stuff here. You have a trend, right? And we can delete this because we know this is polarity. So we can just delete this. That's fine. The dead giveaway here is when you're in this trade like this, and you can see this trend starting to break like this, and the move holding, because like again, like a hold level is just going to hold the move through its trend and continue to move up. Like you could have maybe said something like, but like your trend is breaking, so you're already moving up. So there's no recourse for staying in this short. Like there's just no point, because you can see it's already breaking the trend, so it's going to take a move up, and it does to its next range, which is, you know, considerably here. That means this is gone. So even if I was in this, then I would be saying, okay, well, everything inside of here is tested, so can no longer be inside of there anywhere. So now I'm right here. Right? Like this has to hold. Like this has to hold. There's nothing left. It's polarized already. So this has to hold. So when I see this, like look at how big the range back here that's holding it, right? Like look at the range. Like even go to like a 3-minute chart. Like that's like clear as day. Like backside holding it through a trend. Trend is designed to hold a move. Yeah, that's like as clear as day. So you can just see the inevitable coming back down here. Like you can see this range breaking when this move starts to hold, and you've got tested hold levels already.
Right, when you were saying dead giveaway here, was I was confused myself. When you said that failed to ladder the move, you meant because it didn't really break this local move, is it? The rejection of that.
So this does ladder the move.
You said it, yeah.
So this does ladder the move. It's perfect re-entry. It's why you know I have another right here. This 96, and it was like literally perfect re-entry. It was great. It was fantastic. It's like, okay, this can ladder the move down. I've already taken my first round of profits. This can ladder the move down. Now you've got this here, and let's delete all of this because there's too much on the screen. You know, really once you see, like, look at it as a shape right now. Like look at this as almost like a shape. Like we're gonna take the magnet tool off to do this. Like you've got a trend against the base of the move. Like almost look at it like a shape, right? Like look at this is what can like hold or break the move. Like this baseline here, whatever this is testing from wherever it is, whether it's an origin point here, right? Whether this is like the origin break on a different time frame, okay? There's a hold level like here. Now, it wouldn't be like that. It wouldn't be like a backside trend, because that's what you're admitting here. You're saying that's a backside trend, but rather look at the shape, because this could be maybe like a 3-minute break level, which is an origin leg of the move. So if you hard close that, you lose the move. Or this could be hold level on a time frame we aren't using under the 1 minute. There could be like a 30-second hold level, which happens sometimes. But again, I'm not making decisions on those levels. 1 minute is about as deep as I go. And you see this is holding, and it's about to break a trend after this has already laddered it. You need to get out of this trade and say, okay, if I am going to re-enter, I re-enter here or even here. And what is that testing? This is already testing something else here. So maybe you can justify it here. Maybe you could even justify a re-entry here. I would even be okay with saying, okay, justifiable re-entry here. But like at that point, you're starting to hold your range. So now your range is like this. Now you're starting to try to hold something like this, right? Like that's your adapted trend. And when you see this happen and you're no longer holding that level, and you start to break over this, like there are no hold levels left in this. Like there is nothing. Whatever's being held on the bottom here, like, okay, you're like this. Whatever this baseline is creating is starting to develop the break of the range, because all you're doing is cycling this move. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? Whatever this base is the 1. This is the 2 to create the 3 here, which gives you your cycle. Whatever this is here. And then, at that point, the move is already so polarized that you're in a moment where it's like, okay, you've hard closed the last hold level. At this point, holding over top of this is hard closing a higher time frame. So for whatever thing you're doing here, you could go here and be like, oh shit, we just hard closed a 3. 5 minute also hard closed. That's probably going to hard close a 15, right? So like you can see, this is how you look at a range when you have, this is the base of the move, right? If it kind of can't go below this point because it needs to do the same thing. If this one here indeed was the final hold level, it still has to close it on the higher time frames. This is not enough to close it. And when you start breaking up the range, like if you had these candles like this down here, you can say, yeah, the short is executing, but you're not closing anything on a higher time frame here. No, regardless of this hold level, or if this is the base of the range right here, you could even say like, possibly this is like the base of the range. And I wouldn't get too trigger happy on saying things like the base of the range, rather use it as visual aid. Like you could even use this and say, okay, fine, this is like the base of the range here, like this, like fine, that's the base of the range here. So something like this that has been tested in the past. Hell, you could even go up to this candle point here, back here. So you could even just say like, okay, that's the base of the range. This is the base of the range. Regardless, there's some kind of base of this range that's even like, fine, like this. It doesn't change the fact, and like this, it doesn't change the fact that you're not really closing anything. So you're holding the range. And not only are you holding the range, you're starting to ladder off other pieces and break trends up, right? So like getting out here is just getting out early before the inevitable is happening, because the base of the range is holding, and it only has to hold for so long before it breaks its trend. So at 950, when I see this, like when I see this here happening, and it's like, oh, look, the base of this range is holding. It's just a matter of time now. The base of this range is holding. It's just a matter of time before this thing just continues to hold. I might have got out a little too early, but I was pretty confident that this thing, like I got out right here, I was pretty confident that this thing was breaking. Also, there's a little thing like this here that was about to break right there. So at 950, I'm sitting here and I'm saying, okay, it's about to open over this little tiny interior trend. I think it's got to break something somewhere. But really, if the base of this range is holding on this side and you're testing up, go over that trend. These are hard closes over polarity on a higher time frame. This is not. There's nothing here, right? And even still, then you've just got ladder points. But that's not really what you're paying attention to. What you're paying attention to is like the base of this range right here. You can see there's nothing. You see the difference right on your screen. It's very visceral. It's very easy to see like, oh, this is hard closing over a bigger level. This is not, right? So when you start to hold this range, that's what I mean by like the inevitable is coming. You're holding the range and the base is holding, which means it's developing another microcycle up, which is just gapped right up to our level wherever you justify it. So the short exists up until kind of this point, and there's no, like you'll notice there's no real reason to re-enter. I never took a second trade here, because when you start to develop this range, you've got to say, okay, we have to see if polarity breaks or not, because at that point you're really looking to see if this level can hold or not. You're really looking to see if this can hold. I never took a second or a third trade here or here, because at that point, you're starting to develop another cycle. You're starting to already break your cycle up, right? There's no call for a re-entry here. You've already entered this. It's already tested and broken. You can't even re-enter this. At best, you could have re-entered this, maybe. But when the base of the range is holding like that, that's why I don't take another trade, because this should pull it back and it should develop some kind of trend here. It should develop some kind of reasonable break of this. It should develop some kind of reasonable break of this line right here. It can't develop an upper range like this, like this thick blue line. It cannot develop a range like this, because this is just a microcycle, right? So it can't develop that. And that's why it's inevitable when you have the base of a range like that holding against a trend, because all you're doing is microcycling. And then you just break over this and the move is gone for obvious reasons. The move is gone. You know, this is relong. This is relong territory. No matter which way you justify it, like it's already. Sure, use a 1 minute here, or use an interior trend like this. Yeah, you know, it's just breaking the move down, right? There it is, right? Developing the range over interior trends. It's like the same thing that's happening here. There's a base of a range here and it's using trend to break it. There's a base of a range here and it's using trend to break it. And like this base comes off of this, right? It's your hold level, right? And then this base comes off of, oops, wrong one. This base comes off of this, right? Which is, you know, kind of right here. Like it's just developing the bases of ranges.
You got in a lot earlier.
Yeah, like down here.
So did you buy off a hold level?
No, I just saw the base of the range developing and a trend about to break. Just like I showed you, there's like a little 1 minute trend here. Really, the key here is the base of the range. Like this right here. When you're developing a cycle, it's going to be off some type of hold level. So you're going to create a base. And unless you start getting below that base, you're going to dump, as opposed to starting a microcycle up like that and like that, and then breaking over the polarity and moving up and developing a new base like this, right? Same thing. And then you're just going to break through that trend, go up, break through this trend, create this trend, go up. And then, you know, this was all back to like 97.85, where that was the final level. And you know, everything above that is just like you're already, it's polarized, right? Like this purple one here. I suppose whatever this was holding, it probably tried to test that again to see if it could hold the move down long term. Yeah, right there. There's probably a hold level off that, like a 1 minute hold level or some kind of weird thing like that. Yeah, this one right here. It could try to hold this, like the final hold, but I wouldn't be making any trading decisions here. There's no way. There's absolutely no way. Boy, that's a lot of brush strokes. Hold on. Delete those. You know, even that is like hard closing over. That's a lot of garbage on the screen. Holy Hannah. Those ones aren't useful. This is what's useful. The base of the range breaking through trends. Because whatever this is holding, whatever it is, so we don't even have to look in the past to see what it is. We know it's just developing a base of a range. Hell, even just do this. Flip it over and find the break level. Where's the break level? Yeah, the break is right here, but this is already back testing something else. So where's the actual? You might need a deeper time frame to see it. There's this here, but that's not what it is, because whatever this is testing back here. I mean, this is not something I would advise you guys doing, but it's just, you know, if you want to find the base of a range, it's just a different way to see it. Yeah, there might be something on the 5 or whatever. Nothing there. The 3 minute, no, nothing there. Just to point out, like it could be like an origin level, right? Like the leg of a move. You could use this, you could use this, like just to see the base of the range a bit easier. Again, not a technique that I do, but just to kind of prove the point that that's the break of the move, right? Like even if you use this is the break of the move. It's falling outside of the range on that side, and it's holding its move. It's the difference between hard closing in one time frame or another. I like this as a second entry. It's why I took it. But once this is happening against this, you're just cycling up. You're going to start to break polarity when that happens.
Like when you explain it, it makes perfect sense. But I see that it happens so often, and it just, it'll hard close but not actually make a move. Say, for instance, all the stuff that sort of happened before that for the last couple of days, it very much seems to be holding a whole level down. But then, of course, at some stage it does break that up. Is there any way we, have an indication whether it's actually going to hold its
So
level?
What I would do is I would be looking at my ranges, right? Like I would be like this. I would say, okay, start here. Like let's start here. Whatever this is, we can work the range down from this. Like start high time frame, and we can work this range down and say, okay, well, yeah, okay, here's the level right here. Okay, that's tested, right? So we know if we get above this level, whatever range this is, we know. So we're instantly going to go to the 30 because we know where the next piece of this is. So when we get over this, we know. So we're going to talk about this moment past couple of days. So June 1st. So we'll talk about before this, because this is pretty clear cut, because this level just moves to right here. So that's pretty clear cut. Like we just dissected that, right? So are we talking about between this point and this point, or from this back? You're talking about from this purple line forward, right? Like right here forward in time?
Sorry, I was muted. Like you can see below the green line, that looks like it's trying to hold that level there, and in theory would have made a move down.
You're talking about all of this space. Yeah. Okay. Perfect. So
below
then
the green line.
So then when we are looking at this,
I got it.
There we go. Now I'm on the annotate tool. 1 second. So when we're looking at this, this is the untested range. This is tested. Can't use it. This range is tested. Can't use it. So we have to work from this moment forth, right? Like we have to work from here forward. So we have to say, okay, here's a range. If you break over that, you're going to this. Okay. And then the same thing on the opposite side, right? Like you'd be right here and say, okay, this is tested right here. So you should be then right here and finding the range inside of here, right? Like we're just going to mark the 30-minute, but anyways, finding the range inside of here. And once this is tested, then you're back down in this range here, right? So you're kind of in this moment where on the top side, you're saying like, let's mark all the levels. Well, we can't use this for sure. We know that. We can't use this. We know that. We can't use this because this is all tested. You can see that in the noise there. So you've got some kind of level between here and here. So that's the first piece we're going to look at. So then we would just take the replayer tool right here and say, okay, do we have anything on the 15? Nope. Do we have anything on the 5? Nope. 3? Yep. We have that, which is tested. Okay. So that kind of leaves us right here. That's kind of untested. So actually what I'd like to do is make this thinner first off, because it's way too big. And I would say, okay, that's kind of untested. What about a 1 minute? Is there something pretty clear here? It's tested. It's tested. I like that 3-minute level. That 3-minute level is pretty clear and untested. So something like that is pretty good. There's just a candle that goes straight through it. Doesn't really come back and test it. So this is the greediest part of this range. So we can just delete this level because this is already testing something in the past. So once we come from here, we're going to gap from this to this, right? Like that's your kind of final level. You can see there's no test of it here. So that's your final level here. So we can just hit play and kind of see, right? Like this would be that next part of the range. Even here, you might have something here, but really that encompasses the one range test. Like this is the range right here. That's the range. This is the greediest point. Like where are you taking your trade? On the greediest points or on this point? Me personally, I'm taking them on the greediest point, right? And you let this play forward a bit, and maybe we'll go to a 15-minute time frame. There's no range developed there. You have a range right here. So then you can kind of, we'll leave both of those just to kind of see like, okay, there's like a smaller range right here. So then you can go here and say, okay, that's tested, can't be that, can't be that, can't be this, and forth. This is kind of that range right there, that if it breaks over that, it's going to go somewhere like right here. So then we can even dissect this even further and say, yeah, there's nothing really there. Obviously it's not that, can't be that, that's tested, can't be this, this is tested. 2 parts of this range too now. Okay, fine, we can use that. But let's still continue working with this. It's like, is there a 1-minute piece of this, right? Like, okay, well, so we have this right here. That's again part of that range, so we can't use it. So now we're here, that range is tested, that's tested, that's tested. Yeah, this one's not. But when we look at the entirety of the range, it's not really that great of a spot, is it? 95, 65. So I would consider this maybe something that could bounce. But on a higher time frame, it kind of just looks like a piece of this range right here. So really thin level, decent, really good greedy level. Like if you put an order here, you're pretty much pulling back. And if it gets filled, great. Maybe it stops here. But again, you know, the thinness, it arrays out, right? So we can kind of just move this forward. And this is already tested now. So this is kind of that moment where it's like, okay, that was the untested level. You break over that. You should be going to a relative range above, right? There's no other real ranges developed here. Level on the bottom gets hit, whatever this is, or this, this right here gets hit perfectly fine. Yeah, so you do pull back off this. Again, how good is it versus this level? I would take less profits on something like this. And maybe just to here. Maybe. I would be surprised actually if it comes down this level. I don't know if I'd be surprised, but I don't know if I'd also hold that. I would be very cautious to break above this level. That's the stance I would take. Can it break down? Yeah, it can break down here, but I'd be very cautiously aware of that. It can go up there and test. And that's exactly what it does. So when you're given a choice of levels and what can happen, again, think of thinness. Like if the range is all the way up here, where's the greediest level versus the first untested, right? So like this is the first untested level. So if this should pretty much gap the move to the top of its range, right? Like you should be something like this, right? Like you break over this, you're pretty much going to go to the top of the range, which then gives you a level inside of this range here, right? Just move forward a little bit here. That's fine. Then you can, repeat that cycle. And then, where's the range off here? Do you even have a level? Well, we have something right here, which is tested there. So we can't use that. And then this is tested here on the higher time frame range, but this one is not bad. This is okay here. But again, where are you buying in this range or are you buying in this range, right? Because if this is a tested level, we know it's polarized. So we have to find the next moment here. Okay, that's not bad. What about the 1 minute? You've got this, goes over top of this. This is already broken, right? So you're basically range dissecting this thing. And there it is right there. It gets, front run a little bit. 87 to 91. Hits this instead. Regardless, it's still the same piece of the range. This is now no longer there. There's no ranges above this. So if we break above this level, where are you? You're right there, right? Maybe let's go to a different time frame. I don't think a 1 minute is very, very good here. And then you'd be doing the same thing. Like there's a range right here. So once you break, you see what I mean. But once you break this range, and this is going to trail through as well. Like that's the test there. So then this would have its own independent range, right? Like this would have nothing on the 5 clearly. That's tested. Nothing below that. This is tested. There's nothing there. Let's see the 1 minute. That's tested. That's tested. Your range is actually moving forward in time. You actually have to wait for a dump to even get this range here. Let's go to a 5 minute. Yeah, so then you'd be something like this, right? Like that's just the next point. And even there, you'd be deeper inside of this range right here somewhere, right? But again, if this is the top of the range, how thin is the move, right? So then, we can kind of delete that because we don't really want that. This would gap me, again, we're going to delete this temporarily. This one would gap me to that, right? So this level here should be an area where you short. But again, when you're looking at these ranges being broken, let's see what happens here. Actually, it's right here. Once that's happening, hard closing that time frame, like I would just be the hell out of this move because there's nothing left to stop this. There's nothing left in here to stop this. Now, this is just testing another hold level, but when you are looking at how deep this thing can go relative from whatever this hold level was here to this right here, you're just getting back into the same range thing where this is the greediest part of the range. So like you should be setting a short there, just like you should have been setting a short here because it was the greediest part of this range, right? But then when you're starting to break over top of the ranges like this and there's no untested levels, like you're just going to move up and over top of it once you hard close. Let's delete these brush strokes. We can't really see here. Like you shouldn't be in any trades here. Not shorts because you're just breaking the range, right? So you can see where, like, so you say, like, where do you see this move breaking down? This guy right here was tested. This guy here is tested. Whatever, this is testing the same thing, but it leads you to this moment here, right? Like, it leads you to this right here. It leads you to this right here. Like, you're already starting to break that up and over. Like, there's no untested, like, you shouldn't be shorting anything above this because there's nothing left. The next untested level is gapped to here. So if this breaks, you shouldn't be looking to do any shorts, right? You have no untested levels. Like, that's there's nothing left. Maybe you have something off of this, whatever this was holding from back here. I don't know, I guess we can find that level. Yeah, like this right here, and then I wonder if there's even something greedier. I think there wasn't there? There's something even greedier? Yeah, there is. So this is like the last point of no return. Like, once you start breaking over this, like, your move is gone. Like, you should be no longer shorting after this because you're just gapping straight up to that level. Like, you're just going straight to this level, and then it's the same thing. Like, there's no. So when you go out in time frames and you're looking at this, like, you can see the trail of where the untested levels are. Let me delete these two brush strokes here. Like, even, here, for example, which leads you to here, which leads you to here, which leads you to here. Like, there's nothing left. So, once that's lost, yeah, of course it's going up there. And then the same thing on the bottom side, right? Like, you've got this down here, you have this down here, and so forth, right?